as of late, but um, I think that she has always been sick mentally. I do think that she's definitely on the autism spectrum. And so growing up with a mom who had undiagnosed mental health issues and other issues was very hard because she was a very cold, unloving mom. She was very physically, emotionally, mentally unavailable for me. And she had to work three jobs because her husband would not get a job. He just wanted to party. So I got left with him a lot. And, my mom, she just went along with whatever he said. There were pictures of me naked at 5 years old sitting on this man's lap, and he's just in boxers. He would, when I was around 8, 9, 10, he would want to give me a bath and put baby powder on my genitals with his hand. And, it took me about 20 years to realize that was not okay. It was not okay that there were naked pictures of me on my stepdad's lap with him in just his boxers. It was not okay. Um, so he was very abusive, just very traumatic childhood. I got left with him a lot so that my mom could work. At 12 years old, he pinned me up against the house and choked me out because I done something to piss him off, and he choked me out in front of my mom, and she barely got up at the end when he let me go. Also, when I was 12 years old was probably one of the worst years of my life because um, he took me to his friend's house with him, and he let me get very drunk off of beer. My mom let me drink. It was just no big deal for me to drink alcohol. She would even or she would drive us to the liquor store and buy it and bring it home so that I could drink it. And he took me to his friend's house one night. We were having a good time, and I don't remember anything. I don't remember coming home, but when I woke up, I had no underwear, no shorts, no nothing, and I had peed the bed. And I will tell you, at 12 years old, a kid convinced me to let him take my virginity. So I had known what it was like to have sex. And there was that feeling down there, and I think that's probably, uh, that was terrifying for me because I woke up and I knew, and I did not leave my bedroom for hours. I held my pee so I would not have to walk out of my bedroom and see him. But sorry, there's a fly. I finally had to leave my bedroom. And when I did, he said, "Oh, hey, you were so drunk last night. I had to throw you in your bed." And I just wanted to puke. So, okay, I have a sister. We have different dads, but the same mom, and her dad pretty much raised me. I would go to, I lived in Arkansas, they lived in Missouri. So every summer since I was about 3 years old, my mom would let me go and visit with my sister and her dad because me and my sister are close. We've always been close. And so he became very close to me. And the summer that I was 12 and all of that happened, I went to stay with them. And I told them what happened, her dad and his girlfriend. And her dad said, "You're absolutely not going back home." And that's how I moved to Missouri. So I moved to Missouri when I was 12. And, we lived on a goat farm. We had horses, chickens. I mean, it was a good childhood. I had some really good teenage years. They let us have boys over to stay the night. I have always been, well, minus now that I'm married, used sex as a tool. Boys will like me if I have sex with them. I can get drugs if I have sex with you. Just, it's um, prostitution, but you're not getting paid for it. And it's always been a part of my story because I thought that was how you got love. I thought that was what made you special and what made people like you. And that's not true. It's very traumatizing, and it really spills over into your marriage when you find somebody that you really love. So anyway, it was a party house, but they were still good to us. I didn't know what love was until I met his girlfriend. She treated me like her own. And so, we were just regular teenagers drinking, smoking weed, cruising county roads. I loved living in the country. And then and I've always drank alcohol and smoked pot, not currently, but those have always been the two most prevalent substances in my life, because they're so much more easily accessible than all the other ones, even back then when weed was not even legal by any stretch of the imagination. I graduated high school in 2004, and then that summer I just went wild. I got introduced to methamphetamine, and I did that once, and I fell in love with it. I was like, where has this been my entire life? This is how you're supposed to feel. This is great. I can't believe I'm just now coming across this. Where has this been all my life, type of thing, It was heaven to me. And so I did that off and on, it didn't become an issue. I would do it like one weekend a month, it didn't take over my life at that time. And so, I got a job at a factory. They actually make Pampers. It's a Procter and Gamble factory, and I loved that job, even though it sucked. I loved it and it paid good money. But then I came across meth there because it was swing shifts, 12-hour swing shifts, and those overnight shifts were killer. So I dabbled in meth here and there while working at the factory. And then I met my oldest son's father. Um, I'm so embarrassed of this man, if you could see him. Anyway, um, he was we met at the factory that we worked at. He was very jealous, very, oh my gosh, just a mess. And I instantly got pregnant with our son with him. And I was so excited to be pregnant. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought I wanted to be a mom, but I'm like, no, I'm so excited to have this baby. And then I found out it was a boy, and I could not wait. Well, his dad, we were together for, I don't know, maybe 3 years, and his dad cheated on me the whole time. It was a horrible relationship. I couldn't go to the gas station without him saying, "What are you doing? Where are you at?" I could be gone for 5 minutes and he's, "What are you doing?" What, cussing me out, calling me a whore, saying I'm cheating on him. The accuser is usually the guilty party. So anyway, I finally got up the courage to leave him, and that was not easy. Went to court, got an ex parte because he stalked me. And he just never tried to be in our son's life, and he blamed it on me, said it was my fault. Whatever, I'll take that one. Don't care. Actually, I shudder to think what my son would have grown up to be had that man been in his life in the first place. So my son is about 4, I think. Sorry, I had him in 2007, and then, okay, so I have another son, but I'll get to that. Had my oldest in 2007, and then I met my middle child's father in 2010 or 11. I don't remember. Oh, 2010. We got together. It was not good from the start. He was still married. I mean, we had no business being together, but I got pregnant pretty fast after him and I got together. And it turns out he had gotten another girl pregnant 3 months before me. So that was lovely. Toxic from the beginning. We were both on pain pills really bad. I got into pain pills like 2010. And it was bad. I took them while I was pregnant with our son. I quit 2 months before because I'm like, oh, if they drug test me, they're going to take him away, instead of, just quitting when I found out I was pregnant. Oh, well, I can't change that. He came out healthy and perfect in December of 2011. And it wasn't long before my sister's dad, the one that raised me, got very sick with cancer, pancreatic and liver cancer. Usually with pancreatic cancer, once they find out you have it, it is almost too late. It's a vicious form of cancer. But he had a liver transplant, which was very rough, and he lived maybe 3 or 4 years later after diagnosis and everything he had been through. It just destroyed his body, the chemo, everything, and that was very hard. But while he was sick and dying in the hospital, I had just went full blown on a meth binge, left my I'm sorry, I need to back up. My second son's father and I, we got on meth really, really bad, really bad. We lost everything. We were staying with family. How could I forget this part? They told us to come to their house one day, his mom, and um, we couldn't figure out why, but we're like, okay, whatever. We're all strung out. We go, it's his mom, his sister, my brother-in-law, some other people that we knew. They held an intervention for us. Well, like idiots, we chose not to go. I just thought that he loved me and no, we're going to fix this. Well, it was not good. So naturally, they took our children from us and kept them, wouldn't give them back. I'm thankful every day that they did that. Um, we moved away, him and I, to somewhere like an hour away. Well, I decided that I missed my kids really bad and I wanted to come home. And my sister was willing to let me kind of stay there. And so I come back the very first day, I find my brother's pain pills and I steal some and he catches me. And it just, it was doomed from the beginning. They tried to help me, but I didn't want help. So it wasn't long until I got back on meth again. And then I took off and just started running buck wild. And that's when her dad got sick and I was running around. I am shooting up meth at this time. The other methods were not working for me. And I'm just, that's you do that and you're opening Pandora's box. It is so, that is another level of hell that I never ever want to go back to. It's horrible. Anyway, so I started running around. I'm doing all the meth I can get my hands on. I'm not talking to my family or my kids. I don't know how anyone's doing. I'm literally dating a drug dealer in a trap house. We have bed bugs, roaches, all the things. And it's just, and I was fine living like that. And then I I would always go into meth psychosis almost every time from shooting up, and it was so scary, and so I will never forget those times. It was horrible. But so I was in a state of psychosis one time and I left the trap house and I thought that my boyfriend was trying to set me up because the police were always after me. Everyone was always trying to arrest me. And so I go and I stay at this creepy dude's house. And anyway, I had come in contact with a dirty needle and it had given me cellulitis. And so I got hospitalized because my arm was so swollen and it was so infected. I thought I was going to lose it, but they were able to cut the infection out of my arm. And they said, if you leave this hospital without going to treatment, we are going to call the police on you. And I said, okay, I'll go. So I go, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And that was 2014, gosh, I'm sorry, my days and my timeline is so jacked up. Anyway, so I go to rehab in Salem, Missouri, and then I get out and I go stay with my sister for about a week. And she said, you can only stay here a week. So I was going to go stay with my dad afterward. Well, guess what? Trouble follows you. Wherever you go, there you are. Found meth in Arkansas where my dad lived. And I just went on another bender, and I was tired of living. So I swallowed an almost lethal dose of tramadol, and I woke up in the hospital in the ICU. And anytime you try to do that, they send you to the psych ward. Um, I had also done this previously because I was so whacked out on meth. I thought everybody was trying to kill me. So I took a bunch of drugs and woke up in ICU. And anyway, so it was a pattern. And after I got out of the psych ward, I had nowhere to go. So they sent me to a homeless shelter in North Little Rock, Arkansas, in the hood. I mean, that was terrifying, but some people took me under their wing. I stayed at the Salvation Army homeless shelter. And, after about a week of that, I moved back to Missouri, was still messing around, doing drugs. And then in 2015, I went into a year-long rehab program called Teen Challenge. And, before that, I had been an atheist. I hated God. I couldn't understand why, if there's a God, why does he allow bad things to happen? That's the age-old question that we all ask. And I was just so angry. And I found the Lord in this program, and I'll never regret it. God he's a big part of my story. And I don't know where I would be if I didn't have my faith in the Lord. It's not perfect. I don't have a perfect walk by any means, but nobody's perfect but God. So, found the Lord, but I got out, and it was like, after being in there for a year, you're so sheltered, and then they just turn you loose to the wolves. And you're like, I've been listening to nothing but Christian music for a year, and they made you go to church like 6 times a week. I mean, they just basically crammed God down your throat, for lack of a better term. And so you get out in the real world, and you're like, oh my gosh. So, a month or two later, I was sneaking Captain Morgan out of my sister's refrigerator. And then a couple months later, I was back on the meth again. And 2017, I went back into rehab, and that was where I was put on the Vivitrol shot. I'm not currently on that today, but that saved my life because, I got out, tried to get high, and it didn't work, tried to get drunk, and it didn't work. So I got out of rehab, and it didn't take long. I just kept screwing around. And then I finally got serious and went to NA. And I spent 2 years in NA. I was chairing meetings. I was doing it. I loved being in that program. And then I started backing away from recovery, and I started drinking and doing meth. I mean, it was like the alcohol was the catalyst for every bad decision, because I would drink alcohol and be like, let's do some meth. Yeah, that sounds so fun, right? And then I was on a month-long bender, and my life was in shambles. So, that lasted until about 2019, and I started talking to my husband, which I've known my husband since I was a kid. We grew up down the road from each other. His sister and I were best friends. It was like we picked up where we left off, and he saw how addicted I was and how I was fixing to lose my apartment. I didn't have a job. My son's living back with my sister again. Oh, my middle child lives with his father. I have no custody of him. I'll never have custody of him, but that's just the hand life has dealt me, and I've come to terms with that. He doesn't know me. There's another woman raising him that he calls mom, and she's good to him, and I am okay with that. I used to beat myself up big time. Like, how could you're so awful and disgusting. And how could you just keep one kid, but you got another one that you don't even have anything. Nobody could beat me up as much as I beat myself up. So, So my son is living back with my sister, and I moved to Texas with my husband in 2019 of May, and I was on Suboxone at that time. And I got here and I was using the Suboxone for about 2 weeks and I was still smoking weed. And we went to church one day and I'm like, I don't want to do this Suboxone anymore because I was just getting high off of it. I don't want to do this anymore. And I put it down and I mean, uh, I don't know. I did not get sick, which is a miracle to me. I don't know how I did not get sick. I don't think I was using it very long. I was just on a concoction of drugs and alcohol. But anyway, I come here and I'm doing really well. I even quit smoking weed. And then in October of 2019, I'm like, you know what? I think I can have some wine or a beer, knowing I can't have some wine or a beer. Okay. Because I don't drink for the taste of it. I drink to get sloppy drunk and I black out and I'm mean and I do all the things. Well, it was New Year's Eve and I went to party with some people down the road and I ended up cheating on my husband that night because I was so drunk and there's no excuse. So he found out, and some might call him stupid, others might call him merciful. He decided to stay with me, and I gave him every opportunity to leave. I said, you absolutely can leave me. I want you to leave me. No, he doesn't throw it up in my face, but I've worked very hard to prove that I'm never, ever going to do that again. I would have never done that sober. He is the best man that I've ever known. And I can't, it just sucks walking around knowing that you were such a piece of shit to someone who has done nothing but be good to you. But drugs. So we've just been through a lot of crap. He's got a crazy ex-wife who he does not get to see their children. I mean, this woman is Satan reincarnated, but anywho. um, in 2021, my husband got sent to jail for something that he did not do. So he was in county jail for 6 months while his attorney was, getting the necessary things together to get him out of there. It was ridiculous. So I had to do it on my own for 6 months, and that was really rough. And so when he came home in April of 2022, um, it was very weird and I was very cold toward him because I was just so angry that I had to do this alone and I just couldn't forgive him, which he didn't do anything wrong. So I have misplaced anger a lot of times and it's directed at him, and it's because we act up the most around the people we are the most comfortable with. And sometimes that's at the expense of our loved ones, unfortunately, and our spouses, or partners. And so okay, enter Kratom. In 2016 or 2017, I went to the I don't even know if it was a smoke shop then. They didn't sell vapes, just incense and like pipes and bongs and whatnot, a head shop. And I was like, what do you guys have that'll give me a buzz? And this guy's like, I try some Kratom. It got me off heroin. Well, I got some powder, put it in coffee. It didn't, I mean, I drank it, but it just made me feel weird. So I threw it away. Well, 2023 in January, I have no clue. No clue what made me go and seek this crap out, but I had become bored. I was using CBD oil tinctures I was downing bottles of this stuff because it would get me high, but I wasn't actually going all the way and doing weed, so it felt okay. And so I'm like, I gotta have something different. I had been sober off of everything for years too, well, besides weed, I would do that off and on. And I'm like, you know what? Remember Kratom? Like, yeah, let's go get some of that because I have these conversations with myself like there's someone else in there, but it's just my other personality, Patricia. Anyway, so I go to the smoke shop and I'm like, you guys have Kratom? And they're like, yeah, we have all this. So, I bought capsules because I don't like the powder. It's just disgusting. And I took two, and I'm like, man, this sucks. This isn't doing anything. So I took two more like 30 minutes later. I was sick the entire day. I did not move off the couch. And so the next day I'm like, let's try this again. And so I think I took three, and it was like the perfect balance. And I was off to the races. Well, April of 2023, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And I'm like, no way. I didn't even think I could have kids, any more kids, you know. Me and my husband, we really wanted a baby, but I'm like, we've been together all this time. We've never gotten pregnant. Well, I did finally. And I knew that I needed to stop using Kratom because I knew it was addicting by the way that the tolerance had built. I'm like, I'm taking more of this. I really don't think this is good. I think I need to get off of this. Well, like 3 weeks after I found out I was pregnant, I tried to quit and I threw all my capsules out. And the next day, I was so sweaty and shaky, and that skin crawling anxiety feeling. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am addicted. I am screwed. I was only on it 4 months. What am I going to do? And so I started taking it again, and I finally got off of it in September when I was about 5 months pregnant. And then I had my daughter in January, clean and sober. And, here came 2 or 3 weeks after she was born. And I'm like, I have no energy. Postpartum's kicking my butt. I'm fat. I'm tired. I need something. I'm so tired of this. I was so mentally in a dark place because of having my daughter and the stress of breastfeeding and all that. And so I started taking Kratom again, and I'm like, my husband even knew, and I tried to stop again when she was like 4 or 5 months old. And I'm like, I think I need to taper because I can't do this. He goes, well, if it's helping you, I don't see what the problem is. And I'm like, you know what? You're totally right. And so I kept going. Man, I kept going. And then it was October or November. No, it was October of 2024. Okay. I had like a couple of weeks here and there off of Kratom, and it was hard. And the very first time after I tried to quit after having my daughter, I got on Reddit, and that was how I found the strength that time. I had no idea this community existed. And so in October of 2024, I convinced myself I had ADHD. Okay. I just knew I had it. I checked all the boxes. I'm going to get me some stimulants. So they give me four different kinds we tried me on, and I just hate every one of them. And I'm just slamming Kratom left and right because the side effects of the ADHD medication was so horrible. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. So November, I stopped taking them and I started Suboxone. I'm like, I don't want to take this Kratom anymore. I don't have the strength to stop. I'm going to start Suboxone. That was a huge mistake because I abused the ever loving shit out of that stuff. Like, they were giving me the highest milligram, 3 or 4 of them a day. And I was just going to town on them. And then February rolls around and I'm like, I have got to get off of this. Well, I stopped, and that was the worst. I had no idea how brutal stopping Suboxone abruptly would be. And so my Kratom usage just ramped right back up. And that was when I tried 7-OH. And I had been sprinkling extracts here and there, throughout my usage, but they're so expensive. And, before I got on the Suboxone, I was taking, I don't know, 60 grams per day some days. And then I'm ramping up my Kratom addiction, 7-OH extracts, because I'm in agonizing withdrawals. And May or June, my husband finds out how much money I've been racking up on credit cards in smoke shop charges. And he is pissed and he is disgusted and all the things. And he said, he was at work when he found all this out. He said, when I come home, that's going to be your last day using. And it was for a minute. I quit June the 19th, I think. And I had stumbled across this group. I think I had just went online and I said, getting off of Kratom, and I found the website, and I was like, no way, you mean to tell me they have support groups for just Kratom? This is so freaking awesome. And I got into an evening meeting and it was already over, but there were people in the lobby just visiting, and they directed me to the Signal app. And so I came in here, I think it was maybe the end of May because I was still using. And you guys gave me the strength to actually quit. And I started journaling and I set up therapy and I did a gratitude journal and I was staying plugged in. And then I was like, you know what? I don't need this crap. I don't need no support. I can do this on my own. And I lasted maybe 3 more months after that. And then October, I had had issues with my son all summer, and being sober, not even on marijuana. I can only take so much stress before my brain goes, you need to fix this right now. And you know how, there's only one way. And so I was like, I'm under so much stress with my kid. I want to choke him out. I'm going to go to the smoke shop today. I'm just going to get 2 extracts. I'm going to drink them today. Maybe I'll save one for tomorrow and that'll be it. Right. We all say that, right? There's never just one, never just one more. You're never just going to quit tomorrow, So that lasted until February, like the very end of January, very beginning of February. And my husband, I came home from the store. My husband goes, you got something you want to tell me? And I was like, crap. I said, how'd you find out? He starts naming off all these reasons why he thinks I'm on Kratom. And I'm like, I didn't even try to deny it. I'm like, yeah. He goes, take what you have left and you're going to be done, because if you buy any more Kratom, I'm going to divorce you. And I said, okay. And so I took what I had that night and I woke up the next day and it was hell. It was the last year when I quit, it sucked, but I had all these freaking helper meds, all these supplements, all this stuff. And this time I'm like, you know what? I'm not even bothering with this. I'm just going to white knuckle it. I'm going to torture myself, because how dumb can you be to be back here again? And my withdrawal was 20 times worse, and I had used a shorter amount of time, but I had predominantly used extracts, like 2 or 3 a day. And it was horrible, and I had nothing to help me sleep. I was practically overdosing on those little blue over-the-counter sleep aids because I was desperate for sleep. The weed gummies weren't working. The little blue pills only gave me worse RLS. I got no sleep for like 4 days, maybe 2 hours each night if I was lucky, and it was not in a consistent 2 hours. But February the 5th was the last time that I put any Kratom in my body. And I came in here on day 3. I was so sick. But I said to my husband on day 3, I said, you know what? I'm swallowing my pride and I'm going back to that Kratom group, because that helped me. And I know that they can do it again. I hate that I dipped out last time, but we all do that. Most of us do that, and we come back with our tail tucked between our legs. But you know what? The fact is that you do it. You come back in here and you say, I screwed up. Life is hard. Life is tough. You know what I mean? So anyway, every day is not perfect. I battle with a lot of anxiety. I battle with a lot of codependency, people pleasing, abandonment issues. I can be very insecure, very selfish. And I hate to like blame a lot of things on my childhood, but I felt abandoned my whole childhood. I felt like nobody loved me, like I wasn't important, and so I'm always trying to be good enough because I was never good enough when I was little, and I feel like I left a lot of important things out, but I'm gonna stop it there because, really, I don't know what else to say. It was really an honor to be able to tell my story to people. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and so it was a huge blessing. And I'm thankful to God that I have this group. I'm thankful for you guys. And yeah, I'm going to cut it off there. I love you guys so much.
Oh my goodness. Um, every time I hear one of you guys share, I'm just humbled at how much you can walk through, how much fire you walk through. But the thing about it, when you walk through those fires, you harden. You're hardened when you can see, and you can see the people that are walking through it too. You can help those other people as well walk through that same fire. But that, Sonny, I saw someone say you are a force of a human, and that is absolutely true. Um, and all the congratulations to you. I mean, this stuff is hard. Like, I mean, going to NA, listening to people share stuff. This stuff, we are dealing with stuff that actually I've seen that is worse in here. Um, and it absolutely can lead you down to the same places. And it's all about just letting go and finally not trying to control our feelings with something. And that's so difficult. And it's just, I mean, it's so I think we say it a lot. It's so simple, but it is also so difficult. So I'm gonna stop, and I'm going to take hands for sharing. And I see we already have 6. So that's probably going to get us to the end, but we'll see. I'll continue taking until we can't take. So let's see. Our first person is going to be Jonathan.
Hey everybody, Jonathan, addict alcoholic, out here raw dogging life 59 days. Oh, Sunnie, I mean, that was just amazing. Yeah, I've heard a lot of speaker meetings, and that was easily one of the best. I mean, what you've been through and what you've persevered through, it's just it's amazing, and with such grace, I mean, not seeing you now